Hello, GM, and welcome to Web3 Showbiz on Rack Radio. My name is Arturo Choclan, and I'm a practicing lawyer from Spain. In this show, we'll be navigating the entertainment industries, culture, and Web3 from a legal and business perspective. What is Web3? How specific areas of the law apply to this technological and cultural revolution? Why is entertainment important for Web3, and how is Web3 disrupting the entertainment industries? What does this mean for artists and creators? What's the current state of crypto regulation, and how is the law enforced? And finally, what is Rack Radio, and what's my purpose as a content creator? I'll be answering these questions in this show, so stay tuned and share with me this journey through the promising world of Web3. I'm gonna be completely honest. I am fascinated by the future of Web3 and the magic of decentralization since the first day I got involved. I have fully embraced this movement, and I certainly believe on its future and the importance of this revolution. Web3 culture is permeating every industry, and its technologies are increasingly applied in business, finance, and diverse economic activities. I believe very soon Web3 is not gonna be a niche culture anymore, and the economies and industries of the future will eventually pivot around the actual Web3 culture and the native communities that are being formed today. That's why it's important to speak about Web3, to become a part of this movement, and to start building as a pioneer and a future leader on this space. The first question we have to address is, what is Web3? Web3 is a movement, a space, a culture, the evolution of the internet as we know it, and a technological revolution that is shaping communities and creating new economies. To better understand it, we will approach the history of the web. We can divide the history of the internet in three relevant stages: Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. Web 1 is deemed as the read-only web. At that moment, websites were static, and they had little to no interaction. Years after Web 1, things started to change, as the internet became more interactive. This period is known as the read and write web. This is the era of user-generated content, or Web 2. This is also the era where the social media platforms began to emerge. Web 2 is characterized by centralization. Some big companies with highly concentrated power and wealth have broad control over content that is shared or consumed, and exercises great control over users, benefiting from their detriment. Think about data, privacy, or ads. This is a very important conflict, because these centralized entities are making money at users' and consumers' expense. People participating and sustaining these centralized platforms are directly being exploited by them. Remember this. In Web 2, you're a product that is being sold. You're not a client, and you're not a partner. Attending to this critical situation, Web 3 rises as an enlightenment period of the internet, with a special emphasis on the expansion of the right to property. Web 3 is the read, write, and own period of the internet, and we have just entered into this new era. It redefines how information is stored, shared, and owned. It creates new economies, new labor models, and new classes of products and services. It completely changes interactions between the parties online, in a decentralized, trustless, and permissionless way, applying democracy principles and values to the web. We are living hard times and experiencing things we would have never expected. Surveillance, news outlets and media platforms controlled by governments and groups of power, feeding citizens whatever they consider appropriate, social media censoring content and undermining freedom of speech and freedom of opinion, unfairness towards creators that are being exploited by abusive terms and contracts, and a decreasing scope of the people's right to property. This is extremely serious, and shows that a change is necessary and urgent. We are speaking here about fundamental rights and a revolution to bring back democratic values and organization to the people. This is Web3. This is possible thanks to the blockchain and technologies that are giving power back to the people. The blockchain is capable of executing contracts, storing tokens and digital assets, and the code of decentralized protocols and applications. Thanks to blockchains like Ethereum, we can now create and engage with decentralized applications versus decentralized business and economies. Web3 is equal to ownership. Now users, consumers, and builders own the internet and the ecosystems they interact with, and redefine how information is stored, shared, and owned. New internet communities, businesses, and economies are rising thanks to Web3, redefining our interactions and the balance of powers on the internet. One of the most fascinating things of Web3 is native Web3 culture, art, and entertainment, especially considering that Web3 entertainment will be extremely relevant for mainstream adoption. The intersection between Web3 and the entertainment industries is completely blooming right now, and Web3 is having a tremendous impact on the traditional entertainment industries. Web3 provides new ways of creating, distributing, marketing, and interacting with content and creative works, redefining the standards of the traditional entertainment industries. Therefore, it's highly important for artists and other builders to understand the underlying rights to their creations and the legal issues arising when building in Web3. The entertainment industry is evolving, and its growth is unstoppable. In this context, Web3 is becoming increasingly relevant for every creative industry. It's relevant for businesses. As we are seeing, many Web2 entertainment companies are embracing NFTs, which is very significant. But it's even more significant how Web3 entertainment businesses are already competing against these traditional companies on the industry. From the artist side, Web3 is even more relevant. Entertainment is a business, a very cool business, but a very closed one, with high entry barriers. Unless you have a lot of clout, it's very difficult as an artist to get to the top, to achieve fame and success, or even to be able to market your art and make a living from it. In a time when there is a vast amount of content, when you will need more than a lifetime to consume all new content available in just one day, people and businesses are fighting for attention. This is one of the reasons why Web3 will become so relevant, and Web2 entertainment companies are well aware of this. Think about the music industry, for example. As an independent musician, it's extremely hard to become a star, to fill concert halls, or to get your music to be listened to in streaming platforms. But even if you have clout and are signed to a record label, mostly every business decision concerning your career and success will be made by decentralized entities. Record labels have huge rosters of artists that they have to market, and they have limited resources, so they have to choose some artists over others when releasing music or when allocating their resources or marketing budgets. These decisions won't necessarily be what listeners want. It's taken at a business level. They will decide how much they invest in you, prioritizing other artists that are commercially more profitable than you, even if your music is better. Also, these traditional entertainment companies may exercise excessive creative controls, especially over smaller artists, interfering directly with their creative process. With decentralization, everything changes, and the intersection between entertainment and Web3 is promising on every field. In music NFTs allow fans to truly own the music, and its underlying rights if the artist so desires, and also provides greater connection between fans and artists. Royalty investments and DeFi allow the artist to finance their creative process without signing unfair contracts with labels or production companies. Web3 streaming platforms intend to bring royalty fairness to music streaming. And there are now new ways for artists to promote, market, and engage with their fans. All that, in addition to new revenue streams like digital merchandise and collectibles, and new ways of distributing music, like in marketplaces or the metaverse. In video games and esports, we should highlight play to earn, play to contribute, and gamers' participation in governance and decision-making over the game. Web3 allows real ownership of in-game resources, digital assets, and collectibles, and provides for new opportunities and revenue models for indie developers and publishers. All that while we assist to the promising future of virtual reality gaming and esports. In sports, there are also interesting developments, such as fan tokens and decentralized governance of sports organizations, tokenized fantasy sports games, and the integration of augmented and virtual reality for live events and training. In film and TV, we are watching the important role of DAOs and participation of its members in all stages of film production. DAOs could redefine storytelling and how movies are made. There are also new ways of film financing, for example, through NFTs in exchange for access, digital collectibles and merch. Also, Web3 provides new ways to distribute film, such as selling exclusive copies on a marketplace, and new types of content and distribution formats, such as interactive Web3 movies. Rights are experiencing an expansion. We should pay close attention to the evolution of copyrights and the new legal issues arising in Web3. Issues such as copyright protection of generative art or artificial intelligence-assisted art, and how and to what degree will the law protect these new forms of art and creation. Web3 is incredibly promising for entertainment, but of course, there will be new issues and challenges, so it is important for artists, talent, and businesses to understand how to navigate these issues from a legal standpoint. Future is promising for everyone, but there is still one thing that we are all missing: clarity. Clear regulations and specific legal frameworks are the only things missing for the Web3 economy to reach new heights. Some people say that regulation can kill the purpose of these new technologies, but in my opinion, it's completely necessary. On-chain, in NFTs, or in the metaverse, people's rights and assets must be legally protected. There is not a space or dimension of human interaction in which an attack to these legally protected rights should exist without liability. And therefore, it seems clear that there must be some authority or responsive force to protect these rights and to punish improper conduct. Think about human conduct and the future of the metaverse. Think about criminal conduct and the crimes that can be committed: violation of privacy, identity-related crimes, infliction of emotional distress, copyright and trademark infringements, theft, fraud, misleading advertising, embezzlement, and virtually the whole catalog of criminal conducts can materialize in Web3, in NFTs, or in the metaverse. And this reality is currently happening. So we must think, who may be that authority? The European Union? The US? Well, there is already some control, because countries may exercise personal jurisdiction over potential defendants based on where the events occur, which users, investors, or citizens are targeted, and also based on nationality criteria. At the end, the adoption of bilateral agreements between countries and international treaties will be relevant, and I think that a specific international framework should be adopted for Web3 and the metaverse. Governments will have to keep up with technology, as currently many of these issues are difficult to prove. Considering that users may have multiple digital identities, that are pseudonymous and can be very difficult to tie to the natural person behind these conducts. One point in our favor is that conduct can be monitored on-chain. Because blockchain is completely transparent, immutable, and publicly verifiable, there are on-chain records, so governments can track illegal activity to a certain degree. There could be other ways in which jurisdictions may exercise control. For example, through an equivalent to corporate compliance programs for decentralized autonomous organizations and certain platforms, in order for those entities to be legally recognized in a certain country or jurisdiction. This way, DAOs and platforms will need to incorporate certain programming code, rules, and sanctions to protect users. However, some people say that overregulation is a threat for Web3, and that's true, of course. But regulation is very necessary for maturation of this space and for Web3 to reach mainstream adoption. Developers, users, and investors want clarity when operating in Web3, and many people will not get on board if they don't have a clear legal framework that protects their rights. In my opinion, blockchain technology is too powerful to be killed by regulation. Once you experience it, you realize of its virtues and how it can positively change society and the world. In the past, the European Union made a big mistake not fighting for the establishment of the big Web2 companies on its territory, and it shouldn't make the same mistake again. Regulation by the European Union, that will probably come into force in 2024, is a very good sign and a crucial step for mainstream adoption. At the moment, there are 3 important regulations on the table. Regulation on markets in crypto assets, or MiCA, regulation on a pilot regime on a distributed ledger technology, or DLT, and a regulation on transfer of funds. MiCA regulation would establish a general framework, creating rules for issuers and service providers making business in the European Union single market. DLT regulation is a temporary renewable regime, no testing, for the regulation of crypto assets that qualify as financial instruments. It lays down the requirements in relation to DLT market infrastructures and their operators. Finally, a regulation on information accompanying transfers of funds and certain crypto assets obliges traceability of transfers and extends the travel rule and the anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism provisions to crypto. At the moment, there is not a specifically regulatory proposal regarding NFTs, as they have been intentionally excluded from the scope of these regulations. Also, let's see how the US approaches Web3, because it will have big implications. However, there are other jurisdictions, like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Brazil, or El Salvador, that are already creating friendly legal regimes towards crypto and NFTs, seeking to attract businesses, investments, and taxes into their territories. There is still a lot of uncertainty, but the truth is that there are real and tangible innovative projects and businesses formed around Web3 communities. In my opinion, this revolution seems unstoppable. Jurisdictions should be competing, and some already are. It's part of human nature to reject at first everything that is new, challenging, and unknown, but suddenly, when it seems to be exciting, promising, profitable, and has the attention, everybody wants it. With jurisdictions it's the same. As soon as big jurisdictions regulate adequately to foster innovation of these new technologies, the rest will follow. Rack Radio is the first fully decentralized media platform, a decentralized autonomous organization, and the future of media and content distribution. In the era of content creation, media platforms fight for attention and engagement. Web3 is changing the way in which we create, consume, and interact with content. Very soon, media platforms will regard participation and compensate their audience for their time and attention. At the same time, these people will be the engine contributing to the ecosystem growth through their participation. I mentioned the importance of free press, creative freedom, and the serious threat that traditional and centralized media pose to society and the fundamental rights of freedom of speech, freedom of information, and freedom of opinion. Decentralized media equals freedom, versus media conglomerates controlled by groups of power deciding which information is true, which information is relevant, and when it is relevant. This is why Web3 decentralized and censorship-resistant media is important, and why a decentralized media platform like Rack Radio matters. In Rack Radio, the community owns the narrative. The creators have full creative freedom and own their content, and the audience is considered a partner, contributing to the development of the ecosystem. The audience earns a stake in governance over the platform and would be incentivized to participate and engage with content, benefiting directly from supporting the ecosystem. This will allow Rack Radio to grow organically and will consolidate as a powerful media and entertainment platform. Over time, it will attract more profiles of creators, diverse content, and all types of audiences in an ecosystem that allows artists, writers, speakers, and other creators to flourish. I've been impressed with Rack Radio and this community since day one, and I completely identify with its core values and principles. My main purpose in Rack Radio is educating on Web3 and the opportunities it provides. It's helping artists understand the underlying rights to their creations and the main legal issues in the entertainment industry. And it's contributing to the growth of the Rack Radio ecosystem as a content creator, by providing value to our community through quality content and education. The future is bright and amazing, and we are going to build it together. Join us and share with us this amazing journey. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in the next episode of Web3 Showbiz on Rack Radio.